Hey y'all, so another thing I wanted to go over real quick when talking about animating or talking about the process is the option of using essentially the Lasso Tool to animate. Now, I know some people are, really like doing animation absolutely 100% by hand, frame by frame. But sometimes either when you're doing a time crunch or just getting things to look more consistent as possible, sometimes it is helpful to find some other ways to go about doing things. So one of the ways that I sometimes will animate is I will use this nifty little lasso tool we have here. So as you can see, I have my little onion skidding on. If I go ahead, you can see I used the lasso tool to animate a lot of the legs, but say we want to animate our praying mantis's, this little guy's arm right here, maybe we want it to move up, so you could redraw the whole arm for that, but as you can see, it's kind of a complicated arm. It's got all these little spiny things on it, and a great way to deal with that is you select it with this lasso tool, you go into the transform menu, which sometimes that doesn't show up on these recordings, but again, you just Command T, you'll have a transform menu that lets you scale, rotate, flip, and do such things. So I rotate it a little bit, and then there you go. Our arm is just a bit more up, and that's fairly seamless. Not very much of a pain process. And obviously you don't want to do this with everything. There's going to be some, frames where your character is turning in perspective or doing some other things. And obviously for those you want to draw those, just from frame by frame as much as possible, because copy and pasting, because things are going to look so different as you get from point A to point B when you do things like turn in perspective and such, that basically doing a copy and pasting kind of moving around method isn't going to help you. But when you have some shots in profile or things aren't really moving too much, that is a method that can help. Now, as you can see here in the security cam footage, it doesn't like to zoom out for me all the time, but that's fine. But as you can see, here we have this guy doing a bit of a walk cycle, and he does a turn. And obviously for that turn, I couldn't really, copy-paste so much the frames per se. But I did use the lasso tool on, for example, maybe, like, moving around these hands. And as much as, drawing frame by frame can be beneficial in making things not look super, I guess, kind of like, cheap and cheesy, there are going to be some actions that are repeated. For example, this could be part of a walk cycle, and if instead of turning he was walking forward a bit more, you would just repeat that cycle. But the lasso tool can be a very effective tool in manipulating your frames a lot without necessarily, too much haranguing or too much redrawing. You do want to try to draw things individually as possible when you're on, like, the very base, kind of outlining stage, like your first layer of animation that's, very rough, where you're really, like, figuring things out at that point. That will be something where you'll want to, like, hand draw more, but as you get, like, into the line art, you'll basically know where and when to kind of use either certain manipulation tactics or to redraw things.